You know, they say if you don't define who you really are, other people will define you. If you don't know what path you ought to take, other people will set paths for you. And you will get to the end and you'll realize, what? I've just wasted my time. Today we want to focus on something that is very personal. We want to focus on your personality DNA. What makes you tick? And how can you use that to develop yourself? We are talking to Mark Kang'ethe-Personality. He's a personality coach. I spent about 5 hours with him over the weekend and really totally changed my perspective of life. Welcome to the Power Breakfast Show, Bwana Mark. Absolutely.
Yes.
Personality coach.
Yes.
No, let him tell us exactly
Yeah,
who
what
he
was
is
that?
and what was your background.
Exactly.
Okay. My name's Mark Kang'ethe-Personality. I'm a born-again believer who fellowships in Wallef Church. And I'm into personality coaching, in that I have studied a BA in theology, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in Christian counseling. I've also authored 4 books for Bible study.
All right.
Yes.
So now we go back to the place of personality coach.
Yes.
What's this all about?
Okay. If you'd allow me to define them separately. Personality is a collection of your unique abilities. Coaching is a relationship which is most often client-centered and goal-oriented. So personality coaching is therefore a trained personnel who makes you explore your collective unique abilities and gives you the aspect of a sense of direction.
So, you've said you studied BA
That's right.
in.
Theology.
How does this come to personality?
How does this come?
How does that make you
Relationship.
be a coach?
Okay. I got specialized training in terms of learning about armor bearing, but the connecting factors is I started with a certificate in a Money Counseling Training Center, more about personality. I again then moved to KCA, Kenya Counseling Association, on furthering more about personality. That now began as my purpose. I started knowing that how would I gift people in terms of knowing themselves? How would they find their place in this life? So the idea behind all this is just you avoiding a cycle of repetition in terms of really knowing, not knowing what you're currently
You are
into.
speaking Greek. You are speaking Greek. Let's
Okay.
get it right.
Sure,
You are a trained psychologist
that's right.
in Amani counseling.
That's where I first did my certificate,
Yes.
yes, in psychological counseling. Yes.
So now you go about getting clients.
Yes, we
How
organize.
do you get people to, like Makazi, to come see you?
Okay. We have been in schools, in more than 50 schools, in Alliance Girls, Kenya High School, as far as Kijabe, as far as St. Francis Mangu. We organize workshops in schools for prefects. Just recently, we were organizing one for County Kajiado, all the prefects. We organize also workshops. Can we tell their careers? Can we tell their giftings through their handwriting, through posture? We give 75%, research has it. This is nonverbal. Verbal is at 25%. Can we know, while you're still in school, your career by posture?
What do you mean by that? By
All
posture?
right, let's see. If I'm fully seated like this, or I have postures like Mwakazi like that,
Or like me, like this.
or like you like that,
Yes. Then
this is more of a thinker. He's a
me,
thinker.
me sitting like this, me, I'm a fool. If I
No,
sit like this.
certainly not. Certainly not. Certainly not. Let me just finish up something.
Yes.
So when you're fully seated at the seat, you're a thinker. You're into details. When you're half seated, you look like you're going somewhere. You are a leader. When you relax, mostly your feet are well stretched out. You're into expressive careers. That's what I mean by 75%. All this is nonverbal.
What you are saying is defined by what? What you decide. If I decide to say like this, so what?
Let
I
me
mean, surely, it's you defining that.
what you mostly
And I don't sit this way all the time.
I get.
If
But
I'm sitting on an uncomfortable situation,
I
I
understand.
probably will sit like this.
What we are
That has nothing to do with character.
what we are trying to say is that what do you routinely mostly do? What do you love associating yourself with? If you give me 3 things that you associate yourself with mostly, from there we can trace it to your career. For instance, let's say in a class setup for the schools that we have been going to, you find some of the students would come to you because they feel you have the maturity to attend to their issues. You have a career in leadership. If you're in class, you love putting things in order and at their place. You have a gifting in management. So if you love flipping magazines, you're interested in new trends, why wouldn't you try the school of media or design? If you're interested in enhancing people's appearance, why don't you try the school of health sciences or beauty or cosmetology? If you're interested in terms of managing trade, why don't you try the school of business? So from that is what we really trace it and say that this is your career. What do you love doing? What irritates you? From there we can trace it and say, this is your natural gifting.
Yeah, there's something that a lot of people really struggle with,
Yes.
the place of purpose. You know,
Yes.
why am I still alive?
Yes.
What was I created to do? How do you help such a person to identify that purpose and begin pursuing it to its fruition?
Exactly. Now, if you would allow me, let me use a story that inspired me to start all this in brief. You have an auctioneer who's selling out stuff. One of the last items was a violin. So he's like, this violin needs to go out. I'm selling it for $1, $2, $3. So this goes on and on and on. But what's most interesting, one guy comes out from the back, comes and takes the violin intently, wipes it, tunes in the string, and plays music almost comparable to an angel singing. Immediately the price shifts.
Absolutely.
It's like $1,000, $2,000 going once, twice, $3,000. Just to avoid all that, he's not so much interested about now the change of situation. He goes to this auctioneer guy and asks him, what made it increase? He says, the master's touch. That's very important for me and into this career. Now that I said that I'm a born-again believer, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That we know. He steals what is of value, what is of worth. He kills what has got life. He destroys what exhibits growth. Now for those 3 reasons alone, worth, life, and growth, that's why you and I would be vulnerable. So it would be so much important to know that so much early, because personality sticks with you throughout life. We want to know your God-given assets. We want to know your hindrances. We want to know how you'd handle relationships as it goes on further to parental or marital. Personality is one of your greatest personal resources, and it sticks with you throughout life. So it is important to know it as much as early as possible.
Yeah, perhaps just to open it up, if you have any question, a very direct question, of course, we'll be glad to ask him. The number is 2442, that's 2442. Now, you're talking about the place of personality.
Definitely.
But you see, when you look at a personality, yes, it has its positives, but also the negatives.
Absolutely.
How do you handle and come up with a balance that will add value to the people around?
How's your environment like? That's what the most important question. I would know that. See, I can't give too much time to my critics than too much time to my quality friends. We can't discuss your future if you don't know how to handle your day. You don't want to appear like you're canceling God. Or I wish I had this. Or I wish you'd delete this. If you woke up today and thanked God for health, you woke up today and thanked God for what you have acquired, you woke up today and thanked God for the senses that He has given you to recognize, did you thank God for your uniqueness? That's where it all begins. Your uniqueness is one of your greatest personal resources. Again, like belief system, It's repeated throughout in scripture. Believe, believe, believe. It's one of your greatest personal resources. Even self-esteem. It attacks us so early. Let me just take a mental flight. If, to say in a nursery school, and teacher walks in class and asks, who do we want to become? Their answers, you can almost guess, doctor, pilot. That's okay. But once someone still in that class says, I want to be a chef, I want to be a photographer, people laugh. What's the problem? Is it in the manner of the answer? Absolutely not. We are tuned to believe only IQ careers are relevant. Yet we have EQ careers.
What is that?
EQ stands for emotional quotient. IQ, obviously, it's intelligence quotient. We have IQ motivated careers, which are hardwired careers, where you use your analytical thinking, you use your logic, you use your science and math. How about EQ type of careers? Holistic thinking, arts, music, creative, intuition. So that's the balance right there. We need to know that for every career that you want to engage in, we want to know what do you do in your routine.
In that case, what you are saying, your specialization, your specialty is training young people. You are basically focused on schools.
Schools?
And particular with a religious or Christian connotation.
Exactly. Exactly. Do you know
So
why,
what
sir?
do you, what, yes?
That is because man in his best is vanity. That's why I anchor my knowledge on God's written word. I want to be involved with a God who runs the universe with his mouth. I want to be involved with a God who silences troubled walls of water to be solid under his feet. I want to be involved with a
Suppose
God.
I don't believe that.
Sorry?
Suppose I don't believe that.
Wow. Then I would humble myself and get your perspective in it. Because I
I probably say I'm an atheist.
Okay.
How do you come to me? How
But
penetrate into me?
would you want to know your uniqueness? Because all I know that we are God's image. So for every road you take in life,
That's
it
what
will
you
lead
believe.
you back
That's what
to
you believe,
his
not necessarily
identity.
me.
I understand. Beliefs are
I'm
different.
just saying for the sake of argument. I'm
I
a Christian.
understand.
But suppose I say I'm atheist.
I understand. But as for me, I anchor my knowledge on the written word of God. I would rather be involved with a God who knows the number of hairs on my head. I feel safe with that because that is reliable knowledge right there. I want to bring you to what he said about you. You know, to a God who says, I can store your tears in a bottle. I want to be involved. I really want to know what he says about me.
I'm asking you, if you went to a student
Yes.
who does not believe all that, how do you deal with him or her?
Look, I want to, first of all, start at the basics. And you may not believe in God, but whether you're atheist, you want to say a higher power with all that, that may not really interest me, but do you want to build your confidence? Do you want to move through transitions?
Sure. But without involving religion.
I understand. But as for Mark, as for my teaching, I would rather anchor in that. I would separate the person and the behavior because I understand those two are separate. But I would let them know my position. In as much as they would take their route, I would let them know my position.
Yeah, I was listening to Les Brown, American motivational speaker, and he basically made a statement. He said, a lot of heart attack cases actually happen every Monday morning because people are going to work, people are going to offices that they don't have any passion for. What is your message to such a person? Somebody's in an office there. Yes, he or she is making millions perhaps, but they don't enjoy it because even their personality does not link up with what they do.
Let me speak of this. Suppose a gambler walks into a casino. He knows he's about to bet, and but before he begins the gamble, he's made to understand that rules have changed. Oh, So he's concerned right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's made he is made to think that you'll become a multi-millionaire. He's like, no, you always say that and take my money. No, no, listen. We are about to make you a multi-millionaire. How is that? We are giving you the ability to place the dice. That's very important. We are not positioning you to roll the dice as you normally do.
Just place the dice.
Just place the dice. How many times will this gambler place the dice just to make those couple of millions?
Wow.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. If you understand what God has said about you, and before we say, come, let us reason together, it's important to know that you have been given the ability to place the dice, not to roll the dice.
A difference?
Sorry?
Difference that for us who don't go to casinos, what's the difference between rolling and placing?
No, that's
in terms of what you want to make us understand. What is it?
That's the analogy about it. The thing is that to understand that perfection, you are given the ability to place the dice, and in this case means have a divine arrangement of your giftings. You just don't want to be involved in just every area of your life. Can you ask for divine giftings? Either do you have phonetic gifts of speech? Because when we meet a couple of students, that was what we talk about. Tell me about your daily routine, and from there we can trace. And then we trace, is it more about phonetic? Do you have arc gifts? Do you like speaking out to people? Do you love empowering people? There are three things, just to answer you, sir, that we need to look into. One is time. Time trains you who to honor.
You don't just waste your time on anybody.
No, you can't waste your time on everybody. It trains you who to honor. You can avoid pain by just knowing how to handle time. Second thing is about mentorship. Mentorship is impartation. Mentorship is transference. We may confuse those who inspire us and those who mentor us. You and I can inspire each other, but not everybody can be your mentor. That's very important to know. I have spiritual mentors, Bishop Dr. Samuel Mbogo and Pastor Ann Mbogo.
That's your parent?
That's my parents. Those are my parents because mentorship has got to be one-on-one. They make you recognize your destiny, and God, through them, makes you fulfill your destiny. We are talking about souls here. We are talking about fulfilling of destiny. Third thing is about wisdom. What's your investment in wisdom? I can't invest too much on my clothes than in my mind.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
That's what wisdom does. Creates the difference. I can say I want to be a motivational speaker, and out of every 10 books, I have only one inspirational book. What's your investment in wisdom? Those three are the criteria that we can use.
How do you invest in wisdom? I thought wisdom, you gain it automatically as you grow up. I mean, a kid does not have wisdom like a 10-year-old or 20-year-old. Wisdom is growth. It comes the way environment brings you.
I understand.
How do I invest in wisdom?
Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7.
I don't want the Bible.
I understand.
I want logic.
But like
Tell me the logic.
I understand that. But I need to, like I said, that's where I anchor my knowledge. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7 says, get wisdom, get understanding, which means you have to pursue it. Which means you have to pursue it. I need to invest so much. Have I realized my career?
If I've got a PhD, do I have wisdom?
Sorry,
If I have a PhD in whatever, do I have wisdom?
Absolutely, yes. But remember, we are talking about...
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of PhD fellows who are failures in life, total failures.
What would be your definition of wisdom?
I don't know. I've asked you, if I've got, since you've said you invest in wisdom, which
Absolutely.
means you learn, you go and acquire it. Now I'm saying there's
Yes.
certain people where you're university professors,
Yeah.
they have PhDs in whatever field, but in life, total failure. How do you explain that?
I understand that. But like I said, when it comes to personality, we view things differently.
Because
It's not
the
about...
problem I have with you is
Yes, sir.
it's emotional.
Absolutely
logical.
Not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right here, I'm a testimony about it. I
Perhaps because of-
have worked on my stewardship living. That means I conduct, I supervise, and I manage my resources, my God-given assets.
Many people do that.
Not appropriately. Not appropriately. And that's where we come in.
Would you judge me and say I didn't do it?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't judge you. You're a gift, and that's how I view you. If you know you are as unique as your fingerprint, it makes you even special. That's my view of it. So once you have known your gifting, can we invest in it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So as we progress on, now you know it. We are equal to our talent and not our
Agree.
age.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wow. Now let's take a couple of questions here.
Sure.
We have Phyllis from Mombasa says that's a very touching topic. What happens if your painful past pops up every time you try to do something?
What happens? Sorry.
Your
What
painful
happens
past.
if your painful past
You are
keeps
very
on
hurt.
popping up,
You are hurt
and you're
and
trying to do something?
You are, say for instance, somebody was raped.
Mm.
A kid was raped at teenage.
Mm.
You are now a mama of 40 years.
Mm.
And can't forget that.
Mm.
How do you deal with that?
Now,
Painful past.
I understand painful past. Now, we need to understand the definition of counseling and coaching. Coaching starts, you're growing from the present, and counseling is like you're healing from the past. We have to know how to manage this. We go through counseling, and then we coach you now. Okay? So we need to, where did you position yourself? Let me understand that from the painful past. What exactly, because of our uniqueness, like I said, for those who are thinkers, if I'm to give them a soda, that would be Coke. For leadership-oriented, that would be Stony. For expressive people who are bubbly, there would be Fanta. For easygoing people, there would be Sprite. Now from there, we would need to assess that. No, it's good for our viewers.
Yeah, Phyllis. Yeah,
Just
Phyllis
to catch up.
is listening from Mombasa.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. And from there, I would really know how you react to things, so that we internally build you against external forces. You know, we have introverted people, we have extroverted people. And if you are an introvert or extrovert, I wish she would have clarified much more. We need to know if you're an introverted, either you're an introverted thinker or you're an introverted feeler, which means an introverted thinker would heal quicker compared to an introverted feeler.
Mhm.
Very important to know. So we need to understand her uniqueness first, how it's affected her first. We need to know her dominant function, either thinking, either feeling. I wish she clarifies more, so that we understand what triggers this crisis.
Mhm.
We understand the forms of crisis, and most importantly, the rebuilding strategy.
The rebuilding strategy.
The
I love
rebuilding
the
strategy.
place of counseling first and then coaching.
Counseling, then coaching.
Absolutely. There's somebody here spoke about the place of fear and doubt.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? You want to grow, but there's still fear and there's doubt. How do you handle that?
On a scriptural context, these are the most used, I would say, spirits in terms of attacking our belief system. What I need in me, I place in front of me.
What I need in me.
What I need in me, I place in front of me. We need to understand your schedule of inspiration. What do you give most of your time to? So on that particular question, we would go, what's your investment in wisdom? How do you handle your time? As for me, I know I run my life by this watch. What do you give much more time to? Because we are mostly speaking about rebuilding strategies. Rebuilding strategies.
All right.
Sure.
So
You said you belong to some church called the Word of the Lord endures forever.
Absolutely.
Walef.
Yes.
And your dad, Bishop Dr. Samuel Mbugua, is the bishop.
Yes, he's the bishop.
And you run this counseling as a family.
They run the counseling. Bishop Dr. Samuel Mbogwa and Pastor Ann Mbogwa.
That's your mom?
Exactly.
Yes.
They run the counseling. My brother George Mbogwa is involved in music. That's his gifting. He has studied music in Daystar. My sister is still in school, Form 3.
And you do your separate thing?
I am into the youth. Yes. We have teenage, we have young professionals where we coach, we bring these seminars, and then we have for premarital coaching. That's for senior youth.
Tell us how you get to go to schools. If there's since you said you are going to Kajiado,
Yes,
you are
sir.
talking to prefects.
We
How do you organize that?
We had been called out by Madam Manyole. She's the principal for Moi Girls Isinya. She's heard about us. She invited us to come and talk to the prefects and organize workshops about them.
All schools in Kajiado,
All schools in Kajiado, all prefects, we met at Non-Compete in Kintengela.
And then you charge them?
Yes, we do charge them. Yes, we do charge them.
The schools pay for them to attend?
Absolutely.
Do you do any evaluation? What after you do a session? How
Yes.
do you do feedback? How do you get a feedback?
45 minutes is I and the audience. For an extra 15 minutes, we want to sit in groups and assess. Did you feel well attended to? Are there proper strategies that you've been have? Do you have leadership teams? Are there practical questions that you have that we can assess and know, is it more about personality, or is more about career, or more about leadership?
So at the end of the day, when you go through the session,
Yes.
6 months later or 3 months later, how do I know that they didn't change that, the persons who go through your processes?
I understand. There's a counselor, and we go directly to the schools. We also organize for Sunday services. We also organize for rallies, and we directly meet the counselor appointed there, and we ask about the progress. Is there any fruition of what we talked about? And if not, what other strategies then can we take just for performance related and any other leveling up?
Finally, in your career, in your profession, do you at one time or the other get frustrated, and by what?
Absolutely, sir. And that's what I mentioned out as what irritates me most when I talk about steal, killing, and destroying. And I mentioned out that the devil steals worth, life.
So the devil is the one that frustrates.
Growth. No, it's sad to see someone involved in a cycle of business without a sense of direction. That bothers me a lot. You know, you're meeting people when you feel unprepared. I mean, let me use scriptural context. If Joseph hadn't met Pharaoh when he was prepared, we would have a massacre. In fact, we would have extra Bible verses just to cater for that. Look at Daniel. His wisdom was found 10 times more than the court officials. And let's not forget that for 3 years, he studied language. Look at Esther before he meets the king, just to have...
No, you're not telling me, you're Christian. You tell people who don't know this.
I'm just using, like I said.
You're assuming that me, I know Esther.
So
or
no,
Esther
no.
Or Daniel.
I would speak of a God I know, and those are the examples that I would use that have changed my life.
You're assuming that I studied the Bible, so I know those people.
Perhaps I beg your pardon, we'll have to wind it up here.
Sure.
We'll have to wind it up here. But perhaps just a final one.
Sure.
In terms of there's a person who has gifts and talents. But over time, because of the environment, they've sort of forgotten about the talent. Somebody used to sing, but right now he or she doesn't sing. They used to do something very powerful when they were young, but right now they've totally forgotten about that. What's your final word as we wind up?
If you're given 6 hours to cut down a tree, spend the first 4 hours sharpening your axe. Know your God-given assets, know your personality, and it's time to live according to the script God has written of you.
All right. Okay. So there we have it. Mark Mbogwa, personality coach, thank you so much indeed. And of course, thank you so much for the comments that you've brought in. We totally appreciate. In a couple of minutes, in fact, just a couple of seconds, we'll catch up with the news. And remember, immediately after that, we'll be having our interactive session with Mwana Mutegi. Thank you so
asante.
much. Bwana Mark, thank you so much
I
indeed for
appreciate
coming.
I appreciate
All the
it.
best.
Thank you so much.